Day 3. Grateful contentment. Discuss what are some things in your life that you can plainly see came straight from the Lord? What are some things from God that challenge you to see His hand in them? We actually cannot give God anything that He has not first given to us. David recognized this fact when the leaders of Israel gave so generously for the building of the temple. In his prayer of praise to God he said, "But who am I, and who are my people, that we should be able to give as generously as this? Everything comes from you, and we have given you only what comes from your hand, O Lord our God. As for all this abundance that we have provided for building you a temple for your holy name, it comes from your hand, and all of it belongs to you." 1 Chronicles 29:14-16. David knew he and his people had not given anything to God that wasn't his already. Even our service to God comes from his hand. As the prophet Isaiah said, "Lord, all that we have accomplished you have done for us." Isaiah 26:12. Paul summed up the whole question of what we have given to God rather conclusively when he said, "And he is not served by human hands, as if he needed anything, because he himself gives all men life and breath and everything else." Acts 17:25. When every breath we breathe is a gift from God, there really is nothing left to give that hasn't been first given to us. 1. Write down every mundane, overlooked action that your body takes on a regular basis. Lungs that take in oxygen, heart that beats, etc. Read Acts 17:25 aloud from the above paragraph and meditate on your amazing body and how God blesses you in it. Discuss: are you a content person? Would your closest friends and family describe you as content? Why? So where does all this emphasis on the fact that God doesn't owe us anything leave us? It leaves us in the blessed position of being 11th hour workers in God's kingdom. It leaves us going home at the end of the day from God's vineyard profoundly grateful, knowing that the gracious landowner has been generous beyond all measure. In a word, it leaves us content, and godliness with contentment is great gain. 1 Tim 6:6. Contentment with what we have, whether it is possessions, or station in life, or mental or physical abilities, is worth far, far more than all the things we don't have. A multimillionaire reportedly was once asked how much money was enough, to which he replied, $1 more. The person who is living on the basis of merit is like the multimillionaire. He is never content. One day he thinks he is not being rewarded fairly by God. The next day he is afraid he has forfeited all hope for any reward. Far better to adopt the biblical attitude that grace does not depend on merit at all, but on the infinite goodness and sovereign purpose of God. I would much rather entrust my expectations of blessings and answers to prayer to the infinite goodness of God and His sovereign purpose for my life, a purpose He has already declared to be for my good, than rely on all the merit points I could ever possibly accumulate. We need to remember that God has already been shown to be the exceedingly gracious and generous landowner. To realize that grace, all we must do is acknowledge we are no more than 11th hour workers. 2. Reread the previous paragraph. In the space below, write out a prayer confessing your status as a worker for God. Are you a 12-hour worker? An 11th hour worker? Confess where you know you're not content and ask God to remind you of His exceeding grace. With this emphasis on contentment, I'm not suggesting we could always be satisfied with the status quo in every area of our lives and not pray for or seek improvement. Remember, God by His nature is graciously disposed to give us all good things. Rome 8:32. But for all of us, there are certain things that simply are not going to change. In those areas, we must learn to be content, always accepting the fact that God does not owe us something different. Frankly, I have had to struggle to learn this myself. God has given me a physical body that, in a number of ways, is less than average. He has given me spiritual gifts that lie largely outside the mainstream ministry of the organization He called me to serve with. Neither of these circumstances is going to change, So I have had to learn to be content with what God has given me. I have learned this by focusing on two facts. He doesn't owe me anything, and what he has given me was given by his grace alone.